everyone, and welcome to the Jam Yearbook. I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
Today, we're going to bring you all of the best that we found exploring new music during the month of September 2023.
We know how hard it is to dig through so many new releases, and most of the time now we're just singing along on the radio from songs we heard 30 years ago, the same old thing over and over.
But contrary to the popular belief of our generation, Matt, there is still a lot of good music coming out. The industry machine just doesn't give it the same promotion, and we both know it can take some work to find this out.
Especially when Taylor Swift is just dominating everything right
Everything.
now. And all the music we found isn't good. Obviously, you know that we're going to have problems with things. We've also checked out some music out of curiosity or, expectations and found that it's probably not going to be worth your time. So you've been warned. I wish somebody could have warned us on a few things. There were some gems, though, and we are more than happy to bring them to you.
Yes. And if you're getting used to the new format of the show, you'll know that we don't just start out with the Reaper anymore.
He's still coming. Sorry, but let's celebrate first and wish a big happy birthday to these musicians. You may know who celebrated a birthday in September. I'll kick us off with Bruce Springsteen, Eric Clapton, the one and only Barry Gibb, Michael Bublé, and Roger Waters.
And I will give a happy birthday shout out to Fiona Apple, Dweezil Zappa, Harry Connick Jr., Avril Lavigne, and Gloria Estefan. Do the conga.
Jim, sit down. I don't want to see that. It seems inevitable that we're still going to get a visit from the Reaper every month. At least it's not once a week like we were doing for a while there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a bit more surprising to us at times because we're not digging into the years past anymore, but feeling the impact of these being recent. So I'm going to kick us off with someone who really seemed to surprise many of us. I'll start with Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy was known for being a leader of tropical rock. His music brought a sense of island escapism to his audiences. He recorded 30 albums in his career. I think people know 2 of his songs out of those 30 albums, but they know them very well. He sold 20 million records. He had some of the most devoted followers in the music industry, mostly because they were baby boomers who labeled themselves as parrot heads. Because of this following, he made a lot of money touring and was one of the richest musicians in the world. They think when he died, he'd earned a fortune of around $1 billion. Whoa. Songs like Margaritaville and Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Those are the 2 everyone knows.
They are. And they never got old to his fans. He died on September 1st, the age of 76. Interestingly enough, he has another album coming out on November 3rd, Equal Strain for All Parts. So, Matt, we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, actually, I may check that out just to see if we can shit on it or not. Out of respect, though, we will probably give it glowing reviews.
Or just leave it alone.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Steve Harwell, singer of the 90s alt-rock darlings, Smash Mouth. While he didn't have the recording catalog depth of Buffett, Smash Mouth managed to sell over 10 million albums. That band was everywhere for a very brief period of time. You wouldn't go very long without hearing Walking on the Sun on the radio, or if you had kids that loved the movie Shrek as much as mine did, you heard All Star multiple times a day. Alcoholism and chronic health conditions took their toll over the years, and he passed away of liver failure at the age of 56.
Yeah, when we spoke about this, I think I said to you that Shrek wouldn't have been Shrek really without that Smash Mouth soundtrack.
No, it's right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it fits it very well.
Yep.
And it was kind of sad to see him on the decline towards the end of his life.
Yes. So young.
Yeah, very. But let's move on from the sadness and let's turn our focus to some of the new music we found in September 2023. Of course, we always like to start now. This will be the new trend of who is still lurking around, who's hanging around that's still making music, because this is always full of new surprises, names we've forgotten, or in some cases, names we would like to forget.
Yes, lurkers. I'm always happy to get new pretenders, regardless of how the product turns out. It's like a surprise. I get to open it and see what it is. Relentless is the name of the album. It also describes bands that stick around this long and keep releasing new albums. It also suits the pacing of the album. The pacing is really It's pretty mellow. It's slow through most of it, but there's two songs in particular, Let the Sun Come In or Vainglorious. I could easily hear the classic Pretenders lineup pulling off. If you do listen, you might think Yoko Ono has a guest spot on Vainglorious. If she is, it's not credit. There's something going on in the background that will make you think of her. Chrissie Hynde, she is on my Mount Rushmore of women of rock, and her voice does not disappoint. It's still as strong as ever. Just know going in, you may need to be in a laid back state of mind.
And then we had the ever fabulous NSYNC release a new single in September. I hear crickets. That's about all the excitement you're going to get from Matt and I for that. Even though musically, I'll say it's not far off from what you would hear from Ed Sheeran or Harry Styles.
No, actually, and that's kind of sad. It makes me wonder if I need to think differently about those two. And we're just guys in our 50s. We weren't excited about them the first time. So you get what you get.
I was surprised, though, and I'm going to have to admit this. I really enjoyed the new U2 song, Atomic City. It's a flash of brilliance that they once had, and the Edge almost plays a solo at the end, something that's unheard of with Edge's guitar. I like the fact that he changes his sound up on this, because a lot of the reasoning behind U2 kind of sounding stale and the same for so many years is that same guitar effect by the Edge getting used over and over again. And as much as that's his signature sound, changing it up here for this song makes it feel fresh. And the bonus is Bono doesn't ruin it.
He's actually kind of understated in this song too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. It's a really good song. In the beginning of the video for Atomic City was shot on Fremont Street in Las Vegas, where they also shot the video for I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For in 1987.
Yep.
So it was a nice return to form on the Joshua Tree there. And they made another Vegas splash as the first band to play the Sphere.
Have you seen any of that footage from the Sphere? It looks incredible.
I don't think you need drugs to trip balls there.
No,
I think that would be pretty damn amazing.
it is like a concert with virtual reality just right in front of you.
Yeah.
I've got to get out there and see something.
And it's so huge that the lighting that is cast on the crowd, it just feels like you're there.
Yeah.
It's
really unique.
amazing.
So, well, respectively loved by their fans, two artists that I have been known for not singing praises about is Lady Gaga and the Rolling Stones. I can already hear people booing me. But they released a new single, Sweet Sounds of Heaven, for the upcoming new Stones album. In the course of my life, I've heard people say it's the best new Stones since Some Girls so many times. I'm tired of it. But Matt, this song blew me away, gave me chills. I kind of had that like little teary eye moment listening to it the first time.
Nice.
It's fantastic. And if you want to say that now about Some Girls, here's your chance, folks. It applies. Mixed voice sounds amazing for an 80-year-old man. I sent the song to our old friend Jim Wentworth. He played a lot of Stones albums around me during my formative years of music, and I compared it to something between Goat's Head Soup or Exile, and he commented back that he thought it fit more between Let It Bleed and Goat's Head. Either way, those were some hugely creative and vintage years for the Stones, so it's nice to hear them on form.
Yep. And up front again, I think we both went into the Stones and came out of the first listen just ready to call it a shit sandwich. Like we wanted to call it that. Our big complaint was it sounded too clean for Keith Richards to be playing, quite honestly. We were just primed to hate on the Stones, but we both came around to really enjoying it a lot. Angry's a good tight rock song.
I've got a philosophy on what's going on with Keith Richards' guitar. I'm sure it's Keith playing, but if you watch these producers in studios now, they can just take something and cut it and control it and move something back one way or the other to just bring it to perfection. And I kind of miss Keith's sloppiness just a little bit because that's part of the Stones sound.
Yeah, that's more rock and roll. And I think Keith does a lot of like open tuning on his guitar, so he can really just use one finger, because if you're going to use a slide, it's probably easier to have an open tuning.
And let's not forget a band that you and I both loved as kids, Duran Duran. They have an album coming out. It probably is by the time you hear this show, but the lead single, Black Midnight also is a return to classic form for them. It's like they just reached back into the 80s and ripped this out of that catalog. John Taylor's bass line, it carries the song, not unlike what he did with Rio.
Yeah, I dig those two songs that they released. It so much sounds like classic Duran Duran, and I think a lot of it is John Taylor's bass. It's a little more, it moves around a lot. It's a little more playful. The overall production sounds like one of their 80s releases. It's not highly polished.
No, it sounds great.
It's Simon Le Bon. They did something with his voice in the mix where it has their 80s sound. It's amazing.
Okay, so we were impressed by some of those classic artists and the music they put out this month. This is going to be the Oscar the Grouch moment of the show. Before we get to the new stuff we think might be worth checking out, there's one band we found that we both agree needs to go to the bin. People, we're warning you early.
Oh, you think we would have saved this moment for NSYNC? And you'd be right. Or the Creepy Grown Man band there, the Stones. We thought the big disappointment was going to be those two, but we had to save our shit slinging for Danko Jones. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. I had never heard of them. They could have been around for 20 years. I don't know, but Danko Jones, you sent me a link and I had found them a few days early, but I wasn't going to put you through that misery because I had already checked them out. It's weird how we do that sometimes.
What kind of dick am I? Because I sent it to you.
Thanks, Jim.
I listened to this. Now you have to.
Yeah, no, we had some fun conversation about it at least.
Yeah, I'll admit I listened purely upon the name when I saw it.
Oh, same here. Up. Same here. I'm like, the name Danko Jones. I'm like, that kind of sounds like that could be the new Hoobastank. It's hard to think of a more terrible band name.
Their bio on Spotify says, I got to put the voice on. Are you ready to rock? Do you want to have a good time? Do you want to get high? If your answer is yes to any of those questions, and it really should be, then the undisputed kings of balls out rock and roll are back to provide maximum satisfaction.
Chills, man. I got chills. You got a third career there. That could be a tagline for the return of hair metal if the lead singer wasn't bald. Yeah. It's like the banger of all cliche things to say. Like when people put in their liner notes some bullshit about how, as soon as we played together, we knew this was special. We knew we had the right thing. After a while, you begin to realize it's all just Mad Libs, folks. It's all selling points.
I'm trying to figure out what kind of idiots this appeals to. No offense to anybody if you're that idiot, but really,
I am at times.
At this time in our life or at this stage of the world and music, are you ready to rock? Who even asked that? Maybe if you've got an audience of 50,000 people out in front of you, but are you going to put that in your bio?
Twisted Sister. They didn't ask. They just stated it, right? When they were asked, what do you want to do with your life?
Yeah. Like I said, if you have 50,000 people out in front of you, but even then, it's got to be the most generic sentence in rock music.
Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be surprising. Just look at how much thought went into the band name, Danko Jones. Yeah.
Danko and Hoobastanko. I think you're onto something.
Here we go. Holy Stanko Jones Batman. See, it's not a tough reach to put those two names together.
Hoobadank.
Dankastank.
Dankastank.
We could come up with several of these bad names. Trust me, folks, we could let it roll and you would probably be very irritated at us more than you are now, hopefully. And they would all sound like a bad double IPA. I don't know what that is. Who would stank up the place? You see, let's move on to the good stuff. We can let everybody else make up their own terrible band names.
Wait, not quite yet, because there are some bands that still kind of deserve our ire. Not maybe as much as Danko Jones, but we had Stained, Saliva, and Puddle of Mud all reappear in September.
Who said their names 3 times?
No kidding. I'm not going to really say too much about Stained. It just sounds like generic Stained. it'll serve their fans well, but I don't think it's going to attract many new listeners.
Yeah, I was trying to power through. Just saying "Stained" and "Puddle of Mud" wasn't enough, right? Or "Saliva." We just had to get it all out there.
Yeah.
Let's say you're going to get what you expect and no
Yes.
more. Was he always trying to sound like Cobain? Talking about
Yes.
the singer from Puddle of Mud. You wrecked me. That is a direct Nirvana rip. Listen to this back to back
Mhm.
with Heart Shaped Box.
Yep.
He's ripping off Nirvana right there.
The album sounds like an attempt to make She Hates Me over and over again. And he can hardly sing now either.
Yeah, that struggle was very, very real. I'll give them credit for
Yeah.
not rolling the album around in that auto-tune septic tank to clean it up.
That's true.
Butterface is like at least 20 years too late. That whole joke. And a little sad coming from a 50-year-old dude.
Yeah, it is.
I may get called out here, but I had similar thoughts listening to Stained. I know mental scars, they can last for your whole life, but you'd think he'd have gotten enough therapy writing and singing about it over the years. Let's have some middle-aged angst. I just had a pizza. Where's my Pepsi?
Shit, I'm almost out of Lipitor.
Yeah, oh my God, honey, call it Doc. And I'm sure teens and 20-somethings would rather get their emo fix from people their own age.
Yeah. Nothing like making music for broody 50-year-old men to go around
Yeah.
to.
Really. I really don't have much to bitch about. So,
No.
and Saliva was the best out of those three, but the bar was set pretty damn low. That in no way means we liked it. I listened to all three of these in a row just to get them out of the way. No, I don't think it hurt. I don't think it was going to help either. And there was plenty of prejudging going on, and they deserved it. Saliva was the last one I heard, so maybe there was like a Stockholm syndrome going on. Talk about bad band name. That's a surefire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band name, right? Saliva. Jeez.
Saliva.
Those three bands put me in a mood. Oh my God. I think it's because of what you said with Puddle of Mud, just recreating the same thing. I tried out some new bands in the same vein, and it all sounded like the same song on repeat. It's not my scene. It's not yours either. I will speak for you. And similar to actual metal, maybe if I was more plugged in, I could pick up on the differences of the bands or maybe even care. but I think I've done enough explaining over the last year and a half or whatever that the same old thing over and over, it wears on me.
Yeah.
You want to prove your worth as a musician, change it up. But let's move on from the negativity. Mudslinging at bad music is fun, but let's move along.
Yeah. Who would have thought U2, the Rolling Stones, and Duran Duran would have been our breath of fresh air for September, not these other dicks we just talked about.
Yeah, they are dicks for making me listen to it. Well, I made myself listen to it, but you didn't have to put it out.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to what we're going to call the here and now. This is the fresh music coming out from artists that are younger, newer, and old people, and people that are like over 40 listening to this show who think there's no good music coming out anymore. This is the time you need to tune in and try to find something new. I'm going to start off with Yussef Dayes. Jazz is back. Okay. I might sound more excited about jazz than more people would expect. We have both expressed in previous shows our struggles with jazz. But his album, Black Classical Music, harkens back to the classic days for me of Coltrane and Miles Davis, while still blending in some of the early 90s existential moods in the likes of something like PM Dawn. It's the kind of jazz I enjoy when I'm going to have a romantic dinner. Heavy rock doesn't fit that scene. If you're going to go sit in a French restaurant, you don't need Nirvana in your face or, or a classic rock cover band. Yeah. This is where jazz
or Puddle of Mud. She fucking hates me.
I can find jazz really interesting in those types of intimate settings because it's the musicianship that you're focusing on. And on this album, it's first class. Even if you're not a fan of jazz, the drumming on this album will make you turn your head and notice. For me this month, it was a hard right turn of relief that I needed from trying to find the hipster, cool new rock music in September.
Yeah, it was your break from Puddle of Saliva Jones. I know it.
Yes, it was.
I can't stop.
Stained puddle of stank saliva. We could, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
stop.
yeah.
We could do that all day.
Sorry.
Someone else I'm going to bring up, I think he was kind of heavily anticipated by his fan base, is Teddy Swims. He released the album I've Tried Everything But Therapy. Obviously, Stained has not. So Teddy Swims has a stage name that he actually got because he was a rapper before he started this old is new sound that we've talked about before. He mirrors Adele in his style a bit, but he also has shades of Nathaniel Rateliff in his vocals. His voice blends soul, country, and pop with ease. I don't think every song on the album's a home run, but the track, The Door, has a really classic Van Morrison feel that's warm and familiar while still sounding fresh, which is what you're looking for. It's one of my favorite songs I found in September.
Yes, it was. And Yusuf Days, he got you out of the muck, but Bakar was the left turn I needed. For only a second album, Bakar brings a well thought out game plan to these songs. The album has a really great flow through the whole thing. My indie side got the fix that it was missing with this album. It's mellow, but not in a way I'd have to be in the mood for it. It's kind of like one of those quiet time dinner events, that's just in the background. And every once in a while I go, what the hell is playing there? That's kind of interesting. It would have been nice to hear a left turn here or there through the album, but it's gotten multiple listens from me already. It just needed to maybe change it up, once or twice on the album. It's hard and unnecessary to pick out where Halo, the album, belongs, but Bakar's voice, it's got a little soul crooner, but not melodramatic or leaning into any one thing too hard. The album, the whole thing, it just breathes and vibes really nicely.
Yeah, you talk about it taking a left turn, but I think it's just easy to listen to.
Oh, very.
I was able to put Bakar's album and listen to it from beginning to end more than one time.
Yeah, I just wanted it to maybe take a left turn, at least at once, then veer back.
I remember when I first started listening to it, I put it on and I'd get to the end of a song and I would look forward to seeing what the next one was going to deliver. I stopped worrying that it was going to get worse towards the end, like albums tend to do.
In the past with album sequencing, it's like I always expect, okay, first song should grab my attention, second should be just as good, third should slow it down maybe, but still be a banger.
Yeah, the four's the hit. Yeah, maybe.
And I was just like what you were alluding to. I kept waiting for that drop off. But I think from the beginning, it just set a tone and it just kept it.
Yep. So everyone out there, if you're looking for a great new album, Bakar, check this one out.
And we're on a streak of finding albums with drummers leading the way vocally. We had G Flip last month. You've already mentioned Yusuf Days. And then we have Aaron Fraser. It's amazing how we find one thing and maybe the algorithms start kicking in and start finding more of it for us. Aaron Fraser would be a good experiment. Look at the album cover of his album, Wait Till I Get Over. Then listen to the song Bad News or watch the video. This song has such an incredible 70s soul groove, and you will not believe the dude's voice.
This is literally like seeing a picture of Aaron Carter in the year 1999 and then hearing Smokey Robinson come out of his mouth.
Oh my God, that's a really good analogy.
It really is. So that what Matt just said about looking at the album cover, don't judge at the album cover. Check the album out. Aaron Fraser.
Yeah, it's really good. And just when we were giving up on rock, we found Dean Jesus and the Gene Teasers.
I love that bad name.
Can't believe I actually said that without stumbling on my words.
Dean Jesus and the Gene Teasers. Here comes Australia again, possibly putting out some of the best music we're hearing right now. The intro to I Used to Be Fun, it fits right into my early mid-90s grunge wheelhouse. It makes me think Smashing Pumpkins and almost has a Today feel to it, but without ripping it off.
Yeah, I Used to Be Fun. That's been in regular rotation for me this month. The lyrics and the chorus are like the teenagers' reply to the Beach Boys song Fun, Fun, Fun.
Yep.
to me, the really great band. And I'm a little bit disappointed that more isn't being made of what's coming out of Australia. Maybe it is, and I'm just unaware because I find it very interesting when we find these geological hotspots of music coming out. Because for a while there, we were saying, oh man, Scotland's putting out this, Scotland's putting out that, and this, and this. And over the last few months, it's been Australia over and over again, where when something immediately catches my attention, I, go to the Google machine. Crap, they're from Australia too. So they got something really exciting going on there. we've talked about Tropical Fuckstorm and the chats and previous shows and many, many more when we were recapping the years. This month, Coffin, I don't know why it's an acronym for some reason, C period, O period into the end of the word. Their album, Australia Stops. It left me wanting more. It's a brand of punk I find less and less. I'm not against punky yelling in music. I actually love it quite a bit because the whole soundscape, it supports that vocal.
Yeah.
And if you want something a little more laid back, Australia's got you covered with the Paper Kites. This is a damn fine indie band with some occasional country flair, very similar to what we were hearing with First Aid Kit. They don't sound, the bands don't sound alike. I'm just referring to the country aspect that we were getting from them. Paper Kites also got a little bit of Eagles vibe. Don't let that turn you off. You've never heard these Eagles songs before. Till the Flame Turns Blue would be in consideration for mine this week if we were picking 5 songs.
Nice. If we were picking 5 songs, then I would definitely have taken the song Bleachers Modern Girl.
Oh, hell yeah. We would have fought over that. Thumb wrestled.
We would have. Modern Girl. Did this make you feel like you were listening to a modern Eddie and the Cruisers song? Their wiki says that Bleachers is heavily influenced by late 80s, early 90s music and John Hughes films.
How can you love it more?
Yeah.
I mean, the saxophones in the opening, they had that sound. One of my favorite songs you found this month, hands down. I love this so much. You sent me a link, and within 30 seconds, I think I texted you back. I love this so much.
All you heard was the first 30. I was like, how did you listen to that?
I'm like, no, this is awesome. It does have that 80s sound that you would get from a band that you would hear on the charts, like Huey Lewis, or maybe closer to Bruce Springsteen or Eddie and the Cruisers, right? That you said them when you were talking about them the first time around. It's like what we talked about, what's missing with a lot of new music. Fun without being silly. Those two don't have to go together.
Yeah. And what about Jack Antonoff? I didn't realize this when I listened to it, but Bleachers apparently is his stage name, and it's also the name of the band. So this is new to me, but he's made a huge contribution to the past 10 years of music.
Yeah. And here's where we both learned something this week. He's from the band Fun. He's also worked with Lana Del Rey, Lorde, and Taylor Swift. Oh, maybe that's why he makes his music fun, because he knows what he's talking about. I need more music like this in my life, especially when there's so much serious vibing and people trying to be too fucking cool with everything. I usually don't go on and on about feel good music, but that's what this song is to me. It really is fun.
Yeah, it is. So I'm going to take a moment talking about new music that's been coming out, and I'm going to put a shameless plug into the show. Forgive me at the advance. Is that cool?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You know, I've been managing, promoting an album for my friend's band the past few months. The album Thrift Pop by the Dumb Animals. This was released September 1st. It's a great blend of bubblegum pop rock and 90s grunge. I've submitted it for some reviews. It got really great feedback, and names like Weezer, Ben Folds, and the Smashing Pumpkins were thrown about. It's mixed and produced by Grammy winner Ben Arundel. He's worked with everyone in the R&B world. You throw a name out there, from Janet Jackson to Aretha Franklin, from Kool and the Gang to Levert. He's worked with these people. It's a really fun album, and I'm just going to say that it was my privilege to have my friend Len ask me to help him out with it. I've had many friends put out great albums over the years, and this is easily the best album that a personal friend of mine has released.
Oh, I wanted so badly to give you a good-hearted hard time for this shameless plug, but it's damn worthy plug. This is really good. They took the really good parts of the 90s. The best part, it doesn't sound like everything else out there, so it really does stand on its own. I heard all of those influence you mentioned. Aim Lame, Call Me Crazy. It had a touch of Weezer. 1995 gave me some Smashing Pumpkins, but all from style. No rip. It's just all style and influence.
Yep.
They have their own sound, and I get a little Matthew Sweet occasionally too, maybe in Scribble or Doorknob.
Yeah.
And the influence of 90s music is something we're going to continue to hear. The timing is just right for it. Someone born around 2000, they grew up listening to their parents' 90s music. Even in country music, Ashley McBryde completely caught me off guard. I went in knowing, with that name, this is going to be country music.
Yeah.
The Devil I Know had the usual lyric cliches we pointed out, but it works. It's only cliche because you hear the same thing over and over. Country's not the only guilty genre. That song took a mighty 90s rock turn in the chorus. It became Creed country. I'll admit, the rest of the album it's pretty good. I don't know if it'll stick with me, but it was worth at least one listen. And moving on to something that's probably even less up Jim's aisle. Well, it may be a dead heat for both of us, country and metal. So, Jim, I don't know if you tried out any metal releases. That's a tricky genre to find something in my wheelhouse, and I don't think you're any different. While listening to the new Cannibal Corpse, one comment struck out to me. I'm on YouTube. I like to read comments because it kind of helps me just understand what's going on. This comment said, "The energy is so liberating. People who don't listen to this type of music will never understand." That is so goddamn spot on. I agree. There's an energy, but I don't know where the release is for that tension that is constantly building. I need a release to help me appreciate the highs.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little hard on metal because we don't get it anymore, but I wouldn't say no to Vakken tickets. So anybody wants to float those on a plane ride over for me, I'll more than happily accept. Corey Taylor was a little more on for me. Talk about learning something. I knew Corey Taylor was in Slipknot, but I had no idea he was in Stone Sour. I have avoided that band like the plague because I had a very good idea what to expect. I don't dig everything Slipknot does, but there were a few songs on every album that I can get into. That dude definitely likes to stay busy for sure.
Yeah.
CMF2 is a solid album. My favorite by far, though, was Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. Former Motorhead guitarist, Phil Campbell. He's got a band with his actual sons.
Nice.
Their latest, Kings of the Asylum. That is pretty damn cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's got to be pretty awesome to share something with your family like that. This album, Kings of the Asylum, again, this is the one that broke the ice for me for harder music this month. Everything, it's like you just need that one album or song to be that door to open to making everything a little bit more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Songs like Strike the Match. Actually, this whole album, I love it. It shows a lot of 80s sensibility, which really helped the appeal with this old man. I'm going to keep trying metal because I never know when I'm going to find gold. I got a feeling I'm going to find more gold in metal than I will country.
Yeah.
That's a pretty safe bet. And there's a fun game I like to play. I'm sure you'd like to do this too, Jim. I look through the album releases and I play metal or not. I do it with country too. And I'm usually right. You can tell. Prejudging can make it hard to enjoy something, but if you make me tap out after 30 seconds, that's not my problem. That's on you. All right. Jim's falling asleep. So let's do a genre 180.
Let's do it.
And it is a complete 180. Steven Sanchez has an absolutely brilliant debut album, Angel Face.
Yeah, wow. What a sweet sounding voice. The next time I plan on a romantic dinner, this is the soundtrack to the evening.
Are you asking me out on a date? Are we going to do a romantic Zoom? I probably should have showered.
Yeah, if I can smell you over Zoom, maybe you should.
I could see my parents listening to this. So many old school sounds, but it's got a slight modern indie twist to it.
Yeah, those old school sounds. I hear everything from classic Elvis ballads to the Everly Brothers.
Oh yeah, Everly Brothers, definitely.
Ricky Nelson. He's got that Rick Nelson feel there. He's only 20 years old. I really expect this is just the beginning of something.
The fact that he's only 20 and this is his debut, it makes it even better. This was the most unexpected album I've heard in a long time. It's from somebody this young. I give it A+ for originality and execution. There's nothing out there like it that I've heard.
And Matt, you like concept albums, right? Sanchez created a loose concept of a fictional character named the Troubadour Sanchez, who rises to fame in 1958 after performing his song off this album, Until I Found You, before falling in love with a woman named Evangeline, who is the girlfriend of a mob boss named Hunter. And the troubadour winds up swimming with the fishes.
Dude, you didn't put that in the notes. You caught me off guard with that. I can't love this anymore. I mean, a concept album and the style that he's going for, this is awesome. I love it.
It's an instant classic in my opinion. I want to stop recording and listen to it now. Apparently,
Same here.
Apparently he rose to fame from TikTok.
Oh, strike one. You know what? I shouldn't count that as a strike. However, he's able to get this record out. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would be hard to imagine a record label getting behind this and giving it a push of any kind, or not making him change things as they go. However, he was able to get this out and doing the work by himself, he should get the rewards. All right. I could gush about Steven Sanchez the whole show. I still feel like I should go on and on, but
All
just listen to the album. It's incredible. It's
right,
beautiful.
let's change it up.
Yeah. So earlier we said how we keep finding great music coming out of Australia. Now Canada wants to get in on the act with a couple bands we found. We'll start out with the Beaches.
Not the Bette Midler movie.
Not the Bette Midler
No,
movie.
no.
No, the Beaches. Great girl band.
Any band that has a song called Shower Beer is going to have me sitting up and listening.
Yeah. Never underestimate the power of a shower beer on a hot day. Blame Brett should be a hit. I love this
it's
whole
a good
album. And finally, now bear with me because I'm gonna
Q?
not do this. Yeah, is it PQ, or is it pew, pew, pew? I don't know quite how to say this. Man, band names are hard to come up with. Just ask Danko Jones, who are also from Canada.
Blame
so
Canada.
we can still blame Canada, but we'll digress.
I love the subject matters of the pew 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 band, or however you say it, album. They're playful, but it's a part of life today as we know it. The subject matter of the songs. I smiled once I realized what these songs were about. Once the verse got through and it hit the chorus. One song has the lead singer lamenting selling his PlayStation. He wants it back. In another, he's talking about the paranoia of waiting on read receipts when you're messaging somebody, those three little dots waiting to see somebody type back to you, or the tick that somebody's got the message. And my favorite was Far Side Bathroom, because I don't know about you, but at my work, there's the regular bathrooms right there, and then there's a Far Side bathroom on the other side of the building. And I can relate to this song. That's where it took me, because picking the bathroom furthest away for a moment of peace and quiet was something I could relate to. I'm really amused that these guys wrote a song about it.
It feels good to have an escape plan,
Yeah,
doesn't
it does.
Again, getting back to fun music and surprisingly relatable lyrics, as you were talking about. They also set themselves apart by not trying to be the 1000th band to try and sound like their version of Blink 182.
No, they've got a good, fresh sound, but still rock and roll-y. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
So September wasn't too bad. It's funny, though. I've noticed in the first 2 months we've covered, the good stuff either came out at the end of the month or it took a little longer to follow into our radar. It seems like the first week or so always has nothing good happening. At least we didn't have to rely on that snoozer of an Ed Sheeran album.
Yeah, change it up, Ed. Yeah, I think we're going to find that going forward, because almost at the beginning of the month, there is still a little bit of overload, and you're relying on playlists, and well, if you're relying on any kind of playlist from anything, you're probably going to get something that's being pushed.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the stuff that we're finding that we like, right, Steven Sanchez, that's not getting pushed that I know of. So it does take a little bit longer to uncover the things. Uncover the gold.
And you're listening to this show now. It's already towards later October. So we have already started listening to October music. And I think we're finally getting the feel for how we're going to discover new music. So I'm looking forward to continuing to do this.
I am too. It's a lot of, hey, Jim, check this out. Hey, Matt, check this out. And then hitting the playlist. And I actually like to if I do find something, I like listening to the album. Obviously, I'm an album guy, and then letting it autoplay hey, you might like this.
See where it leads you. Yeah. Yeah.
And see where it leads me. And, you suffer, but then sometimes you're rewarded.
Well, I haven't come up with a name yet, but pay attention, because we are going to start creating a playlist on Spotify, as we used to do with the old Jam Yearbook show. But instead of having, songs from the year and having a long, extensive 1,000 song long playlist. We are going to create a playlist where we will have songs stay on the playlist for 60 days. So songs from September will stay through the end of October, November period, something like that. But we will work out how we're going to do that as the show continues on, because now we've got a couple of months and we can kind of start that up. All right, Matt, I think it's your turn to wrap it up this time around.
It is. We want to thank everybody for tuning into the Jam Yearbook yet again. But before we say our final goodbye, I think Jim's got to tell us what we're doing next.
Oh, next we're going to do our Halloween celebration. It might come out by Halloween. It might take a little bit longer, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to be based on zombie bands.
What's that, Jim?
Well, we're not talking about bands that are from the living dead. We're talking about bands where a prominent member of that band has passed away. We're not trying to be morbid, but we think this is interesting. And they have replaced the member of that band. And we want to talk about instances where this has worked, instances where it's been bad, or talk about some of the bands where this has happened, where you could not replace that person at all. I'm sure straight away somebody's thinking of a band that rhymes with the name Shmervana.
Yeah.
Also, I happen to get the term zombie band from a podcast that Matt and I already listened to. And if they hear this, they'll also be mad at me for saying Shmervana. So sorry, guys.
Hey, flattery is the best form of, right?
They got this far into one of our podcasts, I'd feel like I made it.
Thank you.
All right.
But yeah. Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning into the Jam Yearbook, and we'll see you here next time for zombie bands.
Yes, we will. Peace, love, and podcast.